Dear students, let us start with the last section of coordinate geometry, which is chapter 3. So the last section is plotting a point in the plane if its coordinates are given. So plane is the Cartesian plane. We will take a look at the example 3 on page 62. Locate points 5, 0, 0, 5, 2, 5 and so on in the Cartesian plane. So first of all, before plotting these points, just a quick revision. The Cartesian plane is made up of your x-axis, the horizontal x-axis and the vertical y-axis, which intersect at the origin. Now these axes divide the plane into 4 equal parts, and each of these parts, first of all we are going to see the parts into in an anti-clockwise direction. So it starts from first quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant and fourth quadrant. So each of this part is known as quadrant. Now here the signs of the coordinates depends upon what numbers lie on your horizontal and vertical axis, that is your x and y axis. Now if you see here, this is the positive x axis and the positive x axis. So in the first quadrant, your coordinates are going to be positive and positive. Over here, see, first of all we are always going to locate our points in terms of x and y. So the x coordinate is placed after the y coordinate. So here x is negative and y is positive. So your points here would be negative and positive. Similarly, out here we have negative x axis and negative y axis. So in the third quadrant you have both the coordinates negative. So here everything will be minus and minus. And out here finally we have the positive x axis and negative y axis. Therefore the points here would be positive and negative. Now this is very important to understand, and initially I would suggest, before you start practicing and before you get a hang on locating coordinates, just mark these positive and negative signs for each quadrant, so that locating your points would become very simple for you. So now let us go ahead and locate these points. So the first one is 5, 0. Both of them are positive, but the y coordinate is 0, that means the point lies on the x axis. Okay, and the x coordinate is 5, so it is going to lie on the x axis, and this is your point 5, 0. They haven't marked it in your textbooks, but any time that you are marking coordinates, just make sure that you give it a label. So I'll call this A. Okay, so always label your coordinates. Let us take a look at the second one, 0, 5. The x coordinate is 0, which means that the point lies on the y axis. So this is positive 5, so on the y axis positive 5 will be 0, 5, and I'll call this point B. So I'll write this like this, B 0, 5. Simple. Let's proceed. We have 2, 5. So both these coordinates, the x coordinate and y coordinates, are positive, and none of them are 0. So positive and positive. So this point is going to lie in the first quadrant. Let's locate for the x coordinate 2 first. So you have 2 here, and 2 and the y coordinate is 5. So I will go from 2 to 5. Let me just write this over here, 0, 5. So 2 until 5. So this is my coordinate that I need, that is 2 and 5. So I'll call this C 2, 5. Right? Then take a look at this one, 5, 2. Again both the coordinates are positive, so this point is going to lie on my first quadrant. So 5, 2. 5 is here, and let's take a look at 2. So this is my 5, 2. I will call this point D 5, 2. Pretty simple, isn't it? Now minus 3 and 5. We have negative x coordinate and positive y coordinate. So this will lie in the second quadrant. So minus 3 and 5. Minus 3 is here and 5 is here. So I am going to draw these dotted lines. I'll call this point E minus 3, 5. You need not draw these dotted lines. I'm just drawing it for your reference since I'm not really having a graph sheet here. In your graph sheet, all you will have to do is just count and mark the points. Alright, just make sure you label them. So now -3, -5, both x coordinates and y coordinates are negative. So this will lie into my third quadrant. So -3 unto -5. So this is -3 and 5 on the y axis. So let's draw this dotted line. So here is my point F, which is -3, -5. Then we have 5 and -3, positive x coordinate and negative y coordinate. So positive x coordinate and negative y coordinate, this lies in your fourth quadrant. So 5 and -3. So 5 is here and 3 is here. Let's locate a point. So I'll call this point G, 5 and -3. And finally we have 6 and 1. So 6, both the x and y coordinates are positive. This point is going to lie in my first quadrant. So let's locate 6. 6 is here and 1 is here on my y axis. So neatly drawing it. So this is my point H, 6, 1. Okay, so please take a look at this graph and you can use it for reference while drawing in your graph books. So we saw how to plot points in a plane, that is the Cartesian plane, if coordinates are given. This was the first example. On page 32, it's example 3. Let's take a look at another example. So plot the following ordered pairs x, y of numbers as points in the Cartesian plane. So you have to locate coordinates in your Cartesian plane. Use the scale 1 centimeter is equal to 1 unit on the axis. Okay. So each of these points are equidistant. You are going to take each of these distances, that is from 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3 and so on all the sides as 1 centimeters in your graph. Okay, and use the scale and on the axis you have to plot these points. So the x coordinate and the y coordinates are given like this. So for the first point, let's say I call this point A, the coordinates are -3 and 7. Similarly, I'll call this B, C, D and E. So the x coordinates of A are -3 and 7, for B it is 0 and -3.5, C is -1, -3, D is 4 and 4, E is 2 and -3. Let's go ahead and locate these points. So I'll just mark the signs. Here it will be negative and positive, negative and negative, and finally positive and negative. So -3 and 7, negative x coordinate and positive y coordinate will come here. So let's locate -3 is here and 7 on the y axis is here. Let's draw this point. So this is my point A, -3, 7. Let's take a look at B. For B the x coordinate is 0, therefore the point lies on the y axis. So on y axis I have to take -3.5, minus is here on this side of the y axis. So this is going to be -3.5 is going to lie in the center of 3 and 4. So this is your point B, 0, -3.5. So point C, -1, -3, both the coordinates are negative, so they will lie on my third quadrant. So -1 and -3, -1 on the x axis and -3 on the y axis. So let's draw this line, let's draw this point, actually locate the point. So this point is C, -1, -3. Point D, 4 and 4 both are positive, so I'll have to move back to my first quadrant. So 4 is here on the x axis and 4 is here on my y axis. Let's locate a point. So this is point D, 4, 4. And finally point E, which is 2 minus 3. So positive x axis and negative positive x coordinate and negative y coordinate. So this is going to lie in my fourth quadrant. So 2 is here on my x axis and minus 3 is here on my y axis. So let's draw this, locate this point, 2 and minus 3. So this is my point E, 2 comma minus 3. So isn't it very simple to locate the coordinates once the coordinate points are given onto the Cartesian plane? So once they have given you the coordinates, what you have to do is just draw a Cartesian plane using the horizontal x axis and vertical y axis, mark the quadrants, the signs for the quadrants, and then locating your points will be much simple. So with this we wind up with the solved examples of plotting coordinate points in your Cartesian plane. We will take a look at the last exercise of your chapter in the next class. Thank you.
Hope this video increased your knowledge. For more such videos and a completely free educational content, log on to www.epathshala.org or visit our ePathshala YouTube channel. We have each and every question solved for maths, physics, chemistry and biology. So subscribe our channel, share with your friends, like our Facebook page and follow our Twitter handle for regular updates and important educational tips, and also win ePathshala goodies. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe this channel and enjoy the freedom of education.